Hello, Rob here, and thanks for clicking on RB&D Reviews. And not too long ago, I reviewed David Fincher's version of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and I really enjoyed it, so I decided to go watch the original Swedish adaptation of the book that the two films are based off of. This version came out in 2009, and like I mentioned in my David Fincher review, I had never seen this version or read the book, so when I popped the DVD in of this version, I wasn't sure how I would react to it, but I gotta say I found this version to be enjoyable too. And for those of you that are not familiar with the story, in a nutshell, a journalist named Mikkel who is a he works for an independent newspaper called The Millennium. He's hired by this old businessman to search for his niece who has been missing for 40 years, and Mikkel gets help from a young computer hacker named Elizabeth, aka the girl with the dragon tattoo. I'll be honest, right from when I started watching this movie, I kept comparing how each scene was done differently from the new film, and I mean, you can't help it. If you're watching another version of the same story, you do tend to draw comparisons, but then I paused the DVD and I said to myself, you just got to enjoy this movie for what it is, and you just can't compare it. Okay, well, for one thing, when the new version was shot like a film noir, this 2009 film was definitely more of a mystery film. The film is less grim and dark, but it has some very great suspense and a few scary scenes here and there, and it's very atmospheric. But after seeing Rooney Mara as Elizabeth, I found Noomi Rapace to be a little bit too calm and perhaps normal. Mara made her really messed up and aggressive, and someone you just don't want to, piss off. But Pace, I really did not sense that. There were a couple scenes where she had to stand up and defend herself, and in that case, she could be aggressive, but she wasn't quite as antisocial as Mara's. But regardless, I think she gave a fine performance as Elizabeth, and we also get to see more about the character of Mikkel, who was played by Daniel Craig in the new version. In this version, he's played by, I'm probably going to butcher his name and I apologize, I believe it's Michael Nyqvist, and in this version, the character has a connection with the missing girl, although I felt like it didn't really add anything to the story. And in this film, what made it even more, on the edge of your seat is in this film, he has a deadline to solve the case. I'm not going to give away why, but it's different than in Fincher's film. He's got less time to solve the case in this film. I thought that really added to the suspense and to the mystery. Now, like I just said, I didn't read the book, so I don't know which version is closer to it, but although I like both films for how different they were, I think perhaps I kind of liked Fincher's version just a little bit better because I liked that the characters were more complex, and I liked that we got to see flashbacks involving the missing girl without the characters verbally explaining everything like they did in this version. But I do recommend both films. They're both very different. This version obviously is in Swedish with English subtitles, but if you don't want to read subtitles, they do have the DVD that I borrowed from my local library has an English dubbed version. I didn't play it, so I don't know if it's any better, but I ended up watching the movie in Swedish with the English subtitles, and I think it really added to the performances, and it really added to the atmosphere. So I do recommend checking out both versions. They're both a little bit different, but they do have some same things. But so that's my take on the movie. Feel free to leave any comments you have about this version of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and if you want to check out my review of the new version from David Fincher, it's up on the channel as well. It's in the 2011 films folder. And thank you very much for watching.